Alright, to make his legs, I'll be doing a magic circle again. This time, instead of wrapping twice like I normally would, I'm actually only going to wrap once around, just because these are so tiny, and too much yarn at the very tip of his foot actually kind of distorts the foot a little bit. You'll notice there's not much shaping to his legs. I didn't give him real feet, real like shaped out feet, just because I wanted him to look really cute, and that just was an overcomplication I didn't need. So once again, magic circle, you're just going to pinch your tail there, wrap around 2 fingers, and make an X. Insert your hook underneath both of those, or underneath the first one. Grab the one that's passing over, grab it with your hook, and do a twist, then yarn over, and pull through. And at this point you can definitely cinch that down a bit. And these are making my camera want to focus on that rather than on my project. Now you'll notice that once again I'm leaving this first loop fairly loose. Okay, I'm not pulling it real tight, I'm leaving it quite loose because we're only doing 15 stitches total for each leg, and the second round is really difficult to start if you don't leave this fairly loose. So we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. So a single crochet just like we've been doing. We're going to do 5 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to cinch that down just a little bit more so it doesn't get tangled. And then working in a continuous spiral like we've been doing before, because this is amigurumi. I'm going to insert our hook under both loops of the first stitch of round number 1. So round number 2 is just going to continue on 1 single crochet in each stitch for 5 stitches. So, and this is where it starts to get tight, so be careful. Kind of crochet these a little loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you can definitely use a stitch marker if you want. I'm not going to bother because there's not that many stitches or rounds, and counting them is just as easy. This is the next round, so 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And at this point you can decide if you like it this short and stumpy, or if you want to make it a little longer. And I just kind of hold it up to my body and realized that that's not quite long enough. So I'm going to do one more round, and I will have that fixed in the written pattern. Okay, so round number 4, 5 more stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's a cute little leg. And that actually looks pretty good with the size I want. So I did a total of 20 stitches, 4 rounds of 5 each. So I'm going to make a second one exactly the same way. Just because it makes it a little bit longer and looks a little bit better proportion. To stuff this, I actually just use the tail of my working yarn. The tail in there. And when I sew the leg to the body, I'll actually push the extra length of thread in there, or yarn in there too. Take it right through there. So once again, I'm using my pencil to stuff that. In this case, it's just leftover yarn. And if you can't get it all, that's okay. And just snip. Just like that. To finish off this leg, I'm just going to slip stitch like I did on the body. Slip stitch in the next stitch. Maybe. Yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop that's on the hook. Just like that. Give a nice tug down. And you want to leave yourself a bit of a tail, long enough to go all the way around. So I'm leaving probably about 10 inches. That's probably way too long, but I'd rather have a little extra so I have room to work rather than struggle. So actually, like, that's probably 15 inches. But it doesn't matter because what you don't use, you'll just snip off. And I'm just using the pencil to make sure that that yarn that I used to stuff it is down in there really nice and well. So there's the first leg. And it'll sit just like that. So I'm going to make a second leg in exactly the same way, and I'll be right back. Alright. I have 2 legs now. And I'm going to go ahead and attach them to the body. If you look at the bottom of the body, you'll see a little jog where we started up here doing back loops only and ended here. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy. I'm going to put that towards the back, so I want the legs to sit here and here. So once again, using my tapestry needle, and I kind of want to make sure that this part here is towards the inside, so it sits like that, just because it'll look a little nicer. Kind of hide that. So I'm going to use a ladder stitch to attach this. Or not a ladder stitch, a whip stitch to attach this. A ladder stitch probably would look a little nicer, but I have yet to get that to work for amigurumi. It's kind of more of a hybrid, I think, than anything else. I'm just taking little stitches up through the leg, and that's just the stuffing I pulled out just now. Remember how I used the little bit of a tail that was left at the beginning? To stuff this. It just got caught, that's all that is. And just kind of push it back in with my pencil. Once again, that pencil is coming in quite handy, isn't it? And just take little stitches until you get all the way around. And I'm back to the beginning. So I'm just going to kind of needle my way through the base here, just kind of burying those stitches, or that yarn, I'm sorry, burying that working tail I'm using, just a little bit, just like that. And then, like I did before, I'm just going to bury the end in the body somewhere, just like that. Give it a little bit of a tug as I snip it, and then the very tip of that tail will actually just work into the body. So there's the first leg. Without it, it kind of looks like a pawn, which, you know, maybe you want to make a crochet chest set at some point. That would be a good pawn. I'm going to attach the other leg in the same way, and I'll be right back. Alright, I've got his legs on, and isn't he cute? So now I need to make his arms, and his arms are made in pretty much the same way, with 4 rounds, but the last round is a little bit different, and that's to get the shaping right. If you look on the original here, to make his arms go straight, to go down instead of straight out, we have to do a little bit of shaping at the top there during the last round. So we're going to go ahead and do exactly like we've been doing with a magic circle. With the legs, just like with the legs, we are doing it with 5 stitches in our single crochets into the first round, and we're just going to do exactly like we've been doing. for the legs, for the arms, until we get to round number 4. So I'm not going to repeat all that repeat showing you that again, just because you guys are going to be bored out of your mind. And if you're really confused about it, you can actually just pause the video, go back a little bit, and watch how I did the leg. Okay? So get to make your first 3 rounds, and I'll be right back. Alright, I've made it to round number 4. Basically, there's just 15 stitches in a spiral for rounds 1 through 3. So in round number 4, we got to make the shaping. To do that, we're going to use a series of slip stitches and single crochets. Okay, so you're going to slip stitch in the first one, and to do that, you're going to just insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the next, or through the loop that was already on the hook. So you're going to do that twice more. So that was 1. Insert the hook, yarn over, and pull up the loop, and then pull the loop through the first loop that was on the hook. Do it one more time. Yarn over, pull up the loop, and pull the loop through the first loop. So you did that 3 times, and then you're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So we've actually made it already there to the end of round number 4, and we're actually going to slip stitch one more time to finish that crochet first. We're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, if you can. I might have pulled that down just a little too tightly. But get your hook in there. Just as a note, don't crank down your slip stitches from the previous or at the beginning of round 4 very hard, because it makes it super difficult to do the final slip stitch of this round. Slip stitch, cut off, leaving a bit of a tail. Again, for sewing in purposes. And then just stuff the excess beginning tail down in the arm. However you can get it to work. Again, I'm using my pencil. And by the way, you can actually wash these. There's nothing in them that can't go in a washing machine. Just make sure you dry it really well. You don't want mildew forming on a Cyberman. Because, let's face it, that wouldn't be very good at all. So when you attach them, you're going to attach this 2 single crochets that we did at the very end up towards his neck. Because you're getting, like, if this is flat, you're getting if you hold his arm straight up and down like that, you're actually getting a bit of an angle there, which is perfect for touching the arm. His arm just goes like that. And you can actually make these arms as long as you want. I like the little stumpy arms because it's a little cuter. See? Really cute little stumpy arms and stumpy legs. But you can make them as long as you want to. Make them a little bit more correct for a Cyberman shape. I just happen to like this because it's really cute. And I like cute things on my Christmas tree. So go ahead and make a second arm in the same way and then attach just as you did with the legs, attach the arms. And we'll be right back when I get that done. Alright, there's the basic shape for the Cyberman. So we still need to add some details to him. And we need to make the, well, what I'm calling ears in my pattern. It's just these round, or not round, but oval shapes on the side. And we need to make his Cyberman logo. It's easier to see on this gun. Which is just a round shape attached to his chest. And then give him a face. So, to start with the ear pieces, we need to make them more of an oval shape rather than a nice, perfectly round, circular shape. So, just like we've been doing, we're going to start yet again with a magic circle. But this time, we're going to actually be using a half double crochet as well as the single crochets. And this is either super easy. There is a total of 4, and that's it, 4 stitches total. So really hard. So I started with my magic circle, and I'm going to single crochet, then a half double crochet, which is yarn over once, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you have 3. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a half double. We're going to make another single crochet and another half double crochet. Yarn over, and you're going to pull through 3 just like you did for the first one. Crank that down, and then slip stitch into your first single crochet stitch to fasten off. So insert the hook, yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the first loop. And I know it doesn't look quite like an oval just yet, but it will when I tug on it just a little bit to have it seat properly. I'm going to fasten off, leaving a long tail. Then I'm going to take a, sorry, camera wants to focus on those instead of on my project here. I'm going to take a hold of the loops for the 2 half double crochets that are on either, and kind of just twist them a little bit. Do you see that movement like that? And all that's doing is just pulling those out the way they should be pulled out. So now we have a nice oval shape instead of a perfectly circular shape. And I need to make another one, and then I will attach this to the side of the head, making sure that the half double crochets are in the vertical positions and the single crochets are in the horizontal, just like that. And I will again be using the same ladder stitch that I used to attach the legs and the arms. And I will be back when I get those two on. Alright, I got his ear things on. And they're approximately just right across from each other, which is good. I forgot to mention that at the beginning when I did the magic circle, I did the two instead of one like I did for arms and ears and legs and all that. I did it like this, so as to make that really thick right there at the beginning. And that's going to help us when we finish off this top of his head. Now I need to make the circular pattern here. For the logo. And to do that, it's just another magic circle, just like we've been doing, and 5 into that circle. You don't really need to see me do that again. We've done that so many times at this point. You're just going to make your magic circle, 5 single crochets, slip stitch to join, and then fasten off, and I'll be right back. Alright, I got the circle made. It's just a magic circle again with 5 single crochets in it, and I'm going to attach this to the chest of my Cyberman using my tapestry needle yet again. And once I get that done, I'll be ready to put on the tiny details of his face and the C in the middle there. I'll be right back. Alright, I got this symbol in the middle, or the circle part for the symbol in the middle attached. And now I want to go ahead and give him his face. So to do that, I've got a length of black yarn. You can be whatever black yarn you like. I'm using the Karen, again, the Karen Simply Soft. And I'm just tying a knot at the end of my yarn there. And I have to re-thread it on the needle because, of course, I pulled it off. So we're going to give him his face, his eyes, and the little tears. Little tears that kind of come off of his eyes there. His mouth, and then the C. So on the back, and make sure you have the right side. On the back, you're just going to go through, don't go through a stitch, go through a hole. There's a hole right there in between the stitches. Just go through the hole, and you're going to come out in a stitch, inside of a stitch, okay? Kind of line up the eye with the ear. Put it all on the same row there. By not going through a stitch in the back, and by going through a stitch in the front, the knot we tied at the end there will sneak into the head, and you won't ever see that again, but it won't pull out here, which is why I did that. And to make his eye, we're going to make a French knot. So wrap the yarn around the needle twice, and then holding that pretty tight, you're going to go take the needle back down into the head, fairly close to where you're coming out. Okay? And then at an angle to where you're going. Do you see that? I'm at an angle. So I'm here, this one's a little more pronounced. I'm trying to get that little line right there off of his eye. I'm going to come up like that. And I'm going to put my thumb on the knot so it won't accidentally pull through or get tangled. And if you see, there's the eye. A little bit of fuzzy there. And then to make, and if you've gone too far, that's okay. You can just kind of, which I did, you can just kind of go back a little bit. Give it a little tug and you won't see the black there anymore. So there's the, I'm going back through right underneath, making that angle right underneath his eye, following along to the other side of the head in the same row till I get to the spot where I want to put the other eye. Pull that down, but don't pull it too hard because you definitely want that second or that stitch to be shown. Make another French knot on this side by wrapping twice. And going back down pretty much where you came out in the first place. And this time I'm making an angle towards this arm. And the other one went towards that arm. This one's going to go towards this arm. Maybe. There we go. Kind of pull it down. Not too hard. There's the other eye. Then back up. Go down to where you want to add the mouth, which I'm doing 1, 2, 3 rows down in between that row and that row. So right there. And a Cyberman's mouth is just a line. So I'm going to cross over a couple of stitches like that. And I'm going to actually push my needle through the body until it comes out where I need it to in the symbol. Right there. And if I actually see my needle at all on here, I'll have to pull it back out and try again because you don't want to see any of this black. And you will see, oops, sorry, you will see the black if you see the needle. So there's his face. He's so cute. If any of this isn't quite as defined as you want it to do, you can always go back over it. So this line right here, the little lines right here on his little tear lines, I don't know what they're really called, but they look like tears to me. Those aren't super prominent as I might want them to be, so I might actually go back and just do them again over the top of the original ones that are there, just to make them a little more pronounced. But to make the C, I'm actually just going to do a row of back stitches all along the inside of the what would be the outermost chain. So right there, go in, get it. It's pretty dense in here. Like that. I don't have one handy, but a pair of pliers often is helpful. So you don't actually have to work as hard as I just did there. And then to do the back stitch, I'm going to go to where the first stitch ended, right there. And come forward to that spot. And this is where I can really use my pliers. Basically, I'm just outlining most of the way around that middle circle. And then to finish off, I'm going to take my needle through its back, like that. And there's the C. And I'm just going to kind of anchor that inside the stitches, trying not to show the needle until I'm ready to poke it through. Give it a bit of a wiggle. And then I'm just going to take the needle where I'm coming out of, exactly where I'm coming out of, and just kind of poke it somewhere through. Doesn't really matter. You just don't want to see any black anywhere that it's not supposed to be. I'm going to take my scissors here and tug just a little bit as I'm clipping, and that'll bury the end tail there. And if I don't like the way this Cyberman's mouth or little teardrop eyes are looking, I can always go back and fix that at some point if I really feel the need to. So now all that's left is to give him the little head bar thing here, and his loop for hanging on the Christmas tree. So to do that, we're going to need our pipe cleaner. Alright, so here he is. I have my pencil, and what I want to do to get the right shape is I'm going to line his ear things up on this paper. And just put a mark on the line, and then a mark right at the very tippy top of his head. So this is what I have. And then I'm going to use my ruler here, or a straight edge, or whatever you happen to have handy. It's fine. And I'm just going to draw the line like that. And yeah, I overshot it a little bit, but that's okay. And then we're going to come down like that to get, oops, it's not quite right, is it? just a smidgen, like that. Because we want to have it make, I'm not sure if you can see that or not, make this angle here. So this is the shape we're making. Okay, so with your pipe cleaner, just to measure it out, we're actually going to straighten that back out when we wrap it. Okay. I don't suggest using your scissors to do what I just did. It's really not good for them, but I don't have my wire cutters available right now. And then you can just, oops, where'd it go? Try it on his head. You want just a little bit extra to poke into his ear like that. And this one will poke in his ear like that. And then it should sit nicely on the top like that. So this is about perfect. And for my little Cyberman, using my crochet hook, my gauge, this is right at 3 inches, which is just shy of 8 centimeters. Alright, once you have your piece of pipe cleaner, you're going to need to cut off, oh, it's awfully close, isn't it? You're going to need to cut off a piece of your gray yarn. And we are going to thread I'm going to thread my tapestry needle here. Maybe. And what I'm going to do is wrap up this piece of pipe cleaner. So just I tend to leave a long tail underneath like this, so I'll stretch it not quite to the ends but pretty close to the end, and then I'll come down here and start wrapping. And the goal of the wrapping isn't to go all the way to the end, because you're going to need to be able to poke that into the little ear oval things. But as you're wrapping, you want to make sure you cover up the entire pipe cleaner, all the fuzzy bits. The fuzzy bits are going to give you the thickness that you need. So don't, you could be tempted to cut them off, but I would avoid that temptation. So as you can see, I'm just wrapping that. And mine's not going to be exactly perfect, it never is. Any little white bits we can go back in with a tiny pair of scissors and cut those off if they're really bad. They never bother me, so I don't bother, so I don't worry about it. But you can if you want to. By the way, this wrapping technique that I'm doing here, we're actually going to be using it again and again and again when we get to the Daleks. When I get the Daleks up, you'll be seeing it again in that, and you'll see it again, yet again, in the K9 tutorial that'll be coming up sometime here pretty soon too. So I've got to the end here, and like I said, I'm not going all the way to the very end. I want to leave just a little bit undone. But what I'm going to do is carefully feed my needle a little ways back down under. Do you see that? How I pulled it through. And again, this is probably where a pair of pliers would come in handy. I just don't have mine with me right now. So I'm going to fight with it and maybe, stab myself a few times. And I'm just going to pull that and just kind of shape that end till it's how I want it to be, just like that. While I was making this, I got a notification that the official Doctor Who YouTube channel had put out a new video, so I kind of took a little break from working on this. I'm just snipping that right there. And I went and watched the new trailer, so I'll leave a link down below for that. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about number 13. I think this is going to be great. I don't know. Let's have a poll today and give me an opinion. Are you excited? Not excited? Think that this was the worst mistake they could ever have made? Leave me a go ahead and comment down below, and take the poll there. Okay, so I have my tacky glue here. I'm just putting a little bit on each ear thing. So this looks really funny. When this glue dries, it'll dry clear, and you won't really notice all this globby sort of glue that's going on right now. So go ahead and take my poll there, see what everybody's thinking of number 13, and I'll be back when that's dry. Alright. I think it's dry enough that I can do the next step. So now I need to make the hanger and the little nub type thing at the top of the head. Let's see, this one, I think you can see it a little better right there. So to do that, I've got a nice length of gray here on my needle, and I'm going to do like I've been doing. I'm passing between 2 stitches and going to come up in that first, there we go, into that first magic circle I did way at the very beginning on the top of the head. I want to come out right next to that. And I forgot to tie my little knot. There we go. And just like before, the knot will slip between. Sorry, I'm making noise over here. Try to get a hold of my scissors. Will slip between the two stitches, maybe. And you won't see that. I gotta fiddle with it a little bit, but to make the nub on the top, all you're doing is wrapping several times around that. So I'm coming from the front, and I'm going to go into that first round yet again. And this is why we wanted it doubled up, because it's going to help create that nub on the top there. And you can make this nub, for lack of a better word, as thick or thin as you want. And yeah, I am struggling. I wish I had my pliers with me. It would make this a whole lot easier. But go ahead and wrap that going around and through that top magic circle a couple of times, 2-3 times. I guess I was incorrect in assuming that was dry enough. But that's okay. You just put it back where it belongs. And you just want to make sure that this is pretty neat. You don't want it super sloppy here. I mean, you put a lot of work into this little guy. You don't want it to be sloppy at the end. So I'm actually going to do this 3 times. Just kind of layering them up, one right next to the other. In a kind of almost satin stitch sort of way. And that's how you get the little nub on the top. And then to make the hanger, I made the hanger on this one a little bigger than this one, and I'm kind of regretting not making this a lot bigger. So to do the hanger, I'm going to wrap this one more time, but I'm going to come, instead of going out through the front again, I'm going to just come through the back. So like that. And then I'm going to go in the same spot, but this time I'm not going to pull it down all the way. I'm going to leave the hanger, or I'm going to leave a pretty big loop like that. And then I'm going to take my yarn, or my needle and yarn, and I'm just going to wrap around and around. See how that's working out there? And you'll see this again and again for my other crochet tutorials that are coming up during this countdown to 13. Because it's a really nice, convenient way to make a hanger. And then once you got that part made, just go back through that same spot. Pull it so that the two pieces of yarn are about are the same length, and then just needle your way through, and you can make any adjustments. I'm not overly concerned about making knots in here because I don't think it'll pull out. I've made these hangers a lot and I've yet to have one fail on me. But if it makes you nervous, you can tie a knot in here. I'm not going to, but you can. And then when I think that the string is, or the yarn is secured in there, I'm just gonna do like I've been doing, dive the needle through to some point, take off the needle and pull just a little bit and snip. And there he is. And like I said, you can make your adjustments to the shaping of the head bar thing here. Once it's dry, I'll have to put a little more glue on that one because that's pulling out, and it doesn't want to stay now. That you can make the adjustments so that it's nice and neat and straight, like these two. This one's still a little bit wobbly up there, but that's okay. So there they are. I hope you enjoyed my little tutorial here, my little Cybermen. These guys have been months in the planning and designing. So I hope you like it, and thank you so much for watching. Remember, I am leaving the pattern down in the description box on my Ravelry page. Go ahead and check it out. Make 1, 2, 10, whole army. and I will see you next time. Bye!